Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 25 of Robbie's Backstage Bants. Today I'm joined by Katy Richardson. Welcome.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Bit chilly, wearing my warm jumper,
Oh,
but
yeah.
otherwise good.
I've got my six hoodie on rather than the t-shirt. I'm thinking,
Yeah, I didn't notice you were wearing a t-shirt. I was like, wow.
yeah. Um, no, but how have you been coping then with sort of lack of theatre and lack of performance and things like that?
Trying to keep creative wherever possible, really.
Hmm.
I imagine most people would say very similar, but yeah, trying to focus on that. And also, like, when I'm at work, I don't really have time to do loads of stuff like binge watch TV and stuff like that. So I'm trying to, like, take the positives
Yeah,
where they're available. So,
have
yeah.
things to do. Yeah, I mean, at least you've got things to do, which is it's good. Keep yourself.
Yeah, sometimes I have more things to do than others.
Yeah, exactly. So
But yeah,
there's times when it can be nice, and there's times when
yeah,
you just want to get back to work. I can imagine.
yeah,
But
definitely.
you did get a bit of work in the pandemic, which is nice. That was good.
Yeah, I was definitely one of the lucky ones with that. So
Yeah,
I'm
I was
not
so
complaining.
happy that people were getting to work. Just hope it starts soon because
No.
going insane. Um, so the first sort of questions I've got for you today are about your journey and how you got to the place you're at now. So the first
Yeah.
question is quite vague. Answer it however you like. It's what is the journey of how you got to where you are today? You can start at whatever point you'd like it.
Well, I sort of play piano ever since I was little. I think I started piano lessons when I was 5. So that was kind of my journey in. But I always had like music and theatre as separate. Like I wanted to be an actor, kind of. So I
Mhm.
did musical theatre roles on stage, singing and stuff. And then also did classical piano. And then when I got a bit older, I was in sixth form, I think, and my youth theatre, like the accompanist didn't turn up, like they were off sick or something. And then someone was like, "Oh, Katy, you can play piano, can't you?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll play for today," thinking it would just be for today. And then, kind of the rest is history, really.
You just
And
down
then
that
I
way.
went to do music at university and did a musical direction postgrad, and yeah,
And
ended up
that's
working.
the rest is history. Um, and the other question I was wondering is, was there any other career paths that you had in mind? Obviously, you mentioned performing, but was there anything else that sort of
Um,
tickled your fancy?
I was at primary school. I wanted to be a vet
Oh,
because I love animals. Still love animals, but I'm quite squeamish and really bad with injections and blood tests specifically. So that wasn't particularly a well-suited
not
career.
quite the one.
Uh, and then when I was in secondary school, I for a while was like, no, I'm gonna, do a proper job, and be an engineer. So I did maths and physics A level
Wow.
because I was like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I gave that
Not
up.
happening.
Yeah,
No, I think you've got one of the best jobs ever.
I think so too,
Mm,
to be
definitely,
honest.
definitely. So now we're just going to jump into a bit of a chat about your career. Now, obviously, the career starts with training. Now, this is something I'm wondering. How do you train in your sense? Because obviously there's performance schools to train. But how do you train musical wise?
A lot of it is like doing your piano lessons, learning music theory, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then actually academic music is really useful, like music A level, music degrees, like listening to lots of different stuff, so learning how to analyze it and write about it and things like that. Because a lot of that helps a lot with musicals because it's like how the music tries to communicate whatever the story is trying to show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then, sorry, it's my boyfriend just banging stuff in the background. Sorry if it's going through really loud.
No, it's
Um, and then I went to do a postgrad in musical direction, which not all musical directors do, but I did, and I thought it would be useful, and it was really useful for me. And I had conducting lessons,
oh wow.
both baton and at the keyboard, and we got taught like how there's quite a lot of software and technology that you have to use to be a musical director. So we sort of
All
got
right.
taught how to use that because it's quite a specialist, so you wouldn't necessarily learn it at school.
Yeah.
Um, and then other than that, it's just a lot of work experience, really. Quite kind of like a lot of jobs. You just have to sort of learn on the job and
Mm.
shadow people that are good at it and see what they do, really.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Because I was thinking though, did you have to specifically go through a training school, or you just I suppose you don't have to with performing anyway, really go
No,
through it.
you
But
don't. I think a lot of people do, though, don't they?
they
I think
do.
like in terms of musical directors that I know, the courses didn't start that long ago. So some of the older ones, there wasn't a course for them to do. And then, but I reckon it's probably 50-50 of musical directors that whether they did a course or not. It just sort of
Probably.
depends.
Yeah. I guess it just, but you got there, you know? This
Got
is,
there,
you don't,
I loved it. It was horrendously hard,
yeah,
but I loved it and it was worth it.
definitely. So let's talk about six.
Yeah,
Just a big, big topic. So
yeah.
you, musical director on six,
Yes.
what does that entail for you?
Um, so being a musical director is basically I guess the base of it is conducting the show every day.
Mm,
So I conduct it, lead the band, lead the cast, press the buttons, play the notes. But aside from that, I also the musical director takes the warm up for the show every day, the vocal warm up for
yeah,
the cast. There's also a lot of like admin, pastoral care. You're also a manager, so there's a lot of people management that goes on backstage that you don't necessarily see.
mhm.
Obviously, being musical director for Six is also has the element of you're on stage and
Yeah,
having
you
to
are.
play a character as well, which is all the stuff I've said so far is like normal musical director stuff, and
And then
playing the
that's,
role is a bit Six specific.
yeah,
um, yeah, that's kind of it, really. I mean, like obviously there's bit, we have to do rehearsals here and there and stuff like that, but those are the main responsibilities.
yeah. And you associate, like, supervised for Australia, right?
Yeah, so I'm associate musical supervisor for UK and Australia, which basically means when the musical supervisor Joe is not available, I basically am like acting his role. So it's kind of
Wow.
like head of like acting head of music when he's not like I guess like understudy
Yeah,
for his job. And that's a lot more like making musical decisions on the show. A lot, and it's often when there's cast changes or we're teaching a new company or casting finding the performers. It's a
yeah,
lot of that, so it's a more of the like overall of the show responsibility rather than actually the day-to-day in the theatre responsibility, if you see what I mean.
yeah.
So musical director and associate musical supervisor definitely like work together, but they're
Mhm.
different
Different
jobs.
jobs, but they like a jigsaw sort of fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm assuming you love six as just a
Yeah, I love it so much. You'd think I'd be bored of it by now, but
no.
no.
I don't think it's a show you can get bored of. I mean, look
No,
at
I
Emily Paris. I mean,
yeah.
it does look like fun, and you obviously got to do this during the pandemic too. Quite
Yeah.
quite recently. It was not that long ago. Feels like it was though.
Yeah. I think it was actually 2 months ago today was the last show.
Oh, that was heartbreaking. Even
Yeah.
though I knew I wasn't going to get to London to see you all, I was still heartbroken anyway because it's just so sad seeing. It's just like they're teasing us at this point. Oh yeah, you can come back in. No, you can't. You can come back in. No, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's stressful, and you got flashy masks. I like the ladies in waiting flashy
Yeah.
masks.
Yeah, I didn't actually have to wear one on
Oh
stage because I used my face for my job, but the other three did, and they were really cool.
yeah, they did look
I really
nice,
did herself.
and you get to wear a really nice costume. I like that part
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, wearing a costume's fun. It's a bit more exciting.
Yeah,
And
rather
it
than
was
being
really
shoved in a
cool.
pit.
I don't know if you saw how big the Lyric Theatre was, but it was really big. So
I,
that was cool as well.
it's such a gorgeous theatre.
Yeah.
So you also got to work on hair.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was in the pandemic, right?
Yeah. So that was
Well,
at that time indoor theatre wasn't allowed. So that was an outdoor concert
outdoor
on the Thames, like on a jetty at Battersea, which was really cool.
sounds so
Got to
fun.
work with quite a lot of my friends that I've worked with before, and also like meet some people that I never worked with before,
Oh
and it was really
wow.
fun. Yeah, really great cast, really great band. We did it really quickly, so
Yeah.
it was a big challenge, but it was really fun.
So what is the difference for you working inside to working outside?
How cold I am. It was so cold because it was in September. It was like the first week of
Yeah.
September, but the weather was horrible, so it was like absolutely freezing.
Uh,
So and obviously on the Thames it's really windy and the wind was coming straight off. So it's mostly that. I've not done loads of jobs outside, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'd rather do it than not do it, but it was
Well,
very cold.
yeah, I get quite cold too. I don't think I could quite cope with that. So
Yeah,
see that
particularly because when you're in the band, obviously you're sat down.
you're
That
not
like if you're in
moving.
the cast, you're moving around and dancing and stuff, keeping yourself warm. But we obviously I'm moving my hands, but my body was freezing. So it was fun though. It's all fun.
Oh yeah. And was that like a very similar sort of role for you, like in Six, or was it different in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I was musical director for Hair, and I think because Six is an original musical, and we worked on it from the start. There's a lot more it can change and evolve a lot more, and we're working very closely with Toby and Lucy, and things get tweaked, and it's maybe even a bit more creative. But I think for when you're taking on a revival, a lot of the time you have to really honor the material as it
Yeah.
is. So, and it actually takes quite a lot more research. Like, because Hair was from the 60s,
Yeah.
the music that Six is based on, I know really well because I grew up with it. But because Hair is in the 60s, I had to research the period and the other
Oh,
bands
like the
around the time and
styles
stuff
and
like
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Hair's kind of an unusual one in that it's the band parts aren't written down. They're like they kind of are, but really loosely. They're written in charts rather than actual parts. So we had to sort of do the arrangements on the fly as well. So that was fun.
Well, that does sound
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think every musical director job ends up being really different because it just depends on
Yeah.
it's all different genres, different musicians, different people. It's the same job, but it ends up being quite different. So
Yeah. And obviously that one, you were not on stage, were you? Or were you?
we actually were, but we were
Oh,
at the back. So we weren't very visible for most of it, but we were there,
you were there.
and we sort of stood up to have a bow at the end.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Nice to get appreciated. I mean, you get
yeah.
because you sort
I've
of overlooked, I think, personally.
a lot of the time people. I mean, I've been very lucky. I think probably like 3/4 of my professional jobs I've been on stage. I think
Yeah. I mean,
I've
obviously,
never actually done
Six,
a
you get
professional show
honoured
in a.
quite a few times in
Yeah,
Six.
I think it's very in fashion as well.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So then obviously Rent happened. Now, you didn't get to do too much of Rent, which was quite sad.
No, I actually did the number of shows because I was musical supervisor and musical director.
Yeah.
So I was only supposed to do the first 5 shows anyway. I was playing them myself. I did the rehearsal process, all of the supervising. I was only MDing the first 5 up till press night, and then my associate, who was taking over as the musical director, Chris, was going to do from the show after press night to the end of the run.
All
So
right.
I actually got to do all of the ones I was supposed to do, but he didn't get to do any of his, and obviously the
Oh,
cast were
no.
really, really cut short. So it was kind of mad intense, and then also because we were recording it anyway, but because we then realised that like the vast majority of people that were going to watch it were going to be recorded, it
Yeah.
then became a lot more focused on the filmed version than the live version, which is something that I've never had experience of before. So that was quite
Yeah.
cool.
So what difference for you is it being filmed? Was there any difference for you? Did you have to make sure everything was spot on for that, or was it?
Yeah, we had to just go over it all with a fine tooth comb, really, and it involves a bit of work, obviously, because it's filmed on multi cameras. I don't know if you watched it, but we
Yeah,
had like
it
a
was
lot of equipment.
phenomenal.
Yeah, well, normally you've seen archives, right, when you just have like one fixed view. But
Yeah.
because we were cutting between more like a film, that in itself is a lot of work for the director, and then we have to make the sound match. Although actually they do it the other way around. They make the film match the sound.
That's
It's just a whole thing that I'd never done before.
no,
So yeah, it's quite different.
but it was really interesting though. And obviously it was more work during the pandemic. You got to work with Millie and Mayo again.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
I
girls.
had
Yeah,
met
that's
her a couple
cool.
episodes ago. What a sweetheart.
Yeah,
And you were hidden behind a curtain this time.
yeah, and visible at one point. See again
Yeah,
on stage.
see, look at you. You're getting yourself in there.
Yeah,
Get
I
yourself
mean
known.
that was a really special project. Rent's my favorite musical, and
It was fun.
I just it just the creative team were like a dream.
Um,
And it was just the best.
So what difference was that for you from your other jobs then? How did that differentiate from the others?
Well, because Rent's literally my favorite musical. I've been obsessed with it since I was 12 years old. So I don't think I have never been so well prepared for a
Yeah,
show,
there you go.
because I'm already normally when you do a show you have to sort of learn it and prepare the score and whatever. But with Rent, I was like, I literally know
I know
this
this.
whole thing from start to finish. But I didn't actually know the piano parts, weirdly. Like I knew it to sing it from like listening to the
Yeah,
soundtrack.
yeah.
So I had to learn it on piano. It's also a really hard show. It's really hard for the cast. It's really hard for the band. It's relentless. It's really long. It's sung through.
It doesn't
Like,
stop.
yeah. So it was a lot of bringing them up to speed, and also it's very difficult subject matter. So it was very emotionally draining for a lot of us because it's really it's
Yeah,
really sad show, but it's very close to my heart in terms of the issues it covers, and I know a lot of people in the show felt similarly, so that was
100%.
quite emotionally draining. And also we were in a bubble, so the cast were in a bubble and the creative team were in a bubble, so it was like going to work and then going home to live with like 10 other people that were all
Oh,
working on the show that were I mean, I was lucky that I worked with almost all of them before or knew all
oh,
of them from friends of friends.
yeah, yeah.
But it was very intense, but really fun. It was really amazing and fun, but it was a very unusual project. And also because it was in, a very high lockdown situation, we were just,
You have to be
I
really
had to go
careful
to
with it.
the theatre and go home, and that was it.
Yeah. Did you ever
Uh,
just feel like you needed a bit of privacy from everyone else at this point? You just like, leave
yeah,
me alone.
luckily we all had our own rooms, and everyone was very good at just being like,
Oh, that's good.
I'm gonna go to my room now, and you'd be like, okay, cool, like I get it.
All
But
right.
yeah, I think I'll remember it forever. I don't think I'll ever do anything else quite like that again.
No.
Um,
Um,
yeah, I'd love to do the show again, but hopefully not when we're all like living in basically halls of residence.
yeah. I mean,
I
I'm sure. I think they'll bring it back
really hope so.
because that production was mad. I want it.
Yeah,
See, I want
I was
it to come back so I can come and see it. We were
live.
planning
Yeah,
on doing so, but obviously, Corona.
I was
Um,
really proud of it.
it was good job. The music, because it was. I watched it. It was my mom's first time ever listening to the music of Rent.
Oh
So
yeah.
that she loved it. She loved it.
Did you cry? That's the test.
I cried.
Yeah.
I was,
I used to cry every day playing it. Because I
I
was
don't
so
blame
proud
you.
of the cast as well. And also I should mention the band that I had on Rent were the most awesome. They were so amazing and it just made the whole thing amazing. That's why it sounded so good. It's
It
because
was
of the band.
it was incredible. I kind of just want them to just make an album of it, just so we've got that
Yeah,
now.
me too. I'd love that. Let's
Let's
put
make it happen. Someone
this.
start a petition. Someone, please. That would be the A game. And then obviously you've started Sunday sessions as well, which is
Yeah.
something. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I started that, I mean, it's almost a year ago now, which is insane. Last May. Well, we already did it
You
as
did it,
as you might
yeah.
know, with the Instagram lives, which was just like a stupid thing we started doing on Sundays between shows
Yeah.
because partly because like we never get to, when you work on a show, you never get to hear your mates sing anything other than what they sing in the show
Mm,
or play anything other. And I was like, I know that these girls have ridiculous voices, so like let's just
certainly do.
see what happens. So that was really fun. And then obviously when the theatres shut, basically everyone I know lost all of their income. So I was like, there must be a way to, marry these things. So I
Yep.
launched Sunday Sessions online, which is sundaysessions.live is the website if anyone wants to check it out.
Put
And
that in the
basically
description.
each week I have a guest, a different West End person. They choose a short list of 8 songs, which I've not rehearsed, they've not rehearsed. We draw it. There's like a Wheel of Fortune, which chooses one at random, and then I start read the backing track, and they record their first take of them singing over it, and we edit them together and then post it to the
Yeah.
website. There's mistakes all over the place. None of it's rehearsed, but it's really fun. And yeah, it's £10 per month to subscribe,
Yeah.
and that money goes directly to me and to the performers that are also out of work.
Which is
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, but it's a lot of fun. It's very silly
You've
and it's
had some
kept me
incredible
occupied.
people on there too. I mean,
Yeah.
whack out some of the names you've had. You've had some.
I've had like everyone that's ever been in Six because I just like
Have.
call my mates. But I've also had like, Alice Fern. I've had a couple of Elphibas actually. Alice Fern, Emma Hatton. Um, who else? I mean, like Millie's on there. Natalie's done it twice.
Yeah,
Um, who else? Luke Bayer. I've had loads. I can't
yes.
think.
You've
Jodie
had,
Steele, Grace Smart, like loads of people.
you've basically had the list of my dream interviews there. that is the one. But no, I really think that's incredible, and I'm so pleased that you're still managing to do things, and obviously keeping in touch with people you've worked with, which is nice as well.
Yeah, it is nice, and it's also nice to do. It's very easy in this situation to like just not want to play or sing or whatever because it reminds you of work or you know what I mean. It's very easy to get very
Yeah,
down about it. So it's really nice to have a reason to keep that skill up,
which is
basically.
good, and it's keeping
Uh,
keeping everyone happy as well, which is
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
It's a good way to cheer people up. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the fans' questions.
Okay, yeah.
Oh Lord. The first question is from Corey, and Corey asked if you could save 3 shows to reopen after lockdown, what would they be?
Oh my god, that's a really big question. Okay,
Save 3.
well, I have to say six.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to say Anne Juliet
Oh yes.
because my mate Luke's the director and he'd kill me. Um, and I don't know what the third one would be.
Hmm.
Oh no, this is hard. You know what? I think it has to be Hamilton. I
Yeah.
was really close to saying Mary Poppins, because I loved it. And
I mean,
I saw it the day before lockdown, basically. But yeah,
we are planning, once obviously everything's fixed, we are planning to come down to London for like a straight up week and see matinee evening, matinee evening,
oh yeah,
just to relive everything that we've missed.
yeah.
Because we were due to see like Hamilton, we were due to see all sorts of things down in London. Obviously, didn't happen, so we're gonna do it. But
Oh
hey,
God, what about Pretty Woman as well,
oh yeah,
which I haven't seen. I had tickets
I
to
haven't
see
seen
that.
that.
Anyway, I cheated
And
on
we'll
that
see
one.
everything. We'll just open the whole West End. We'll just use that
Yeah.
power. If we had the power to open the West End, if we would. And Wicked, I would save Wicked.
Would you?
Oh, I'm
I've
having
seen
another
Wicked
Wicked
so many
obsession.
times.
Me too.
So selfishly, I'm like, I'd see something else, but
I think I'm just back in the Wicked phase. You never really leave it, do you?
no, you don't.
The next question is from Trevor, and Trevor's asked, "What is your favorite song to play in Six?"
Um, it is the I Don't Need Your Love remix.
Oh,
It's the most fun, and particularly now, the
the new
new
one.
version is really cool. So that,
I've heard very good things about this.
yeah, it's really hard for the band now.
Oh no.
Just so everyone knows. But yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, when you're out there enjoying it, feel bad for them. No.
Yeah.
Um, so the next question is very similar. It's from Millie, and she's asked, "What is your favorite line in Six?" That could be song or it could be speech.
Mine. Um, I mean, I think it has to be something from Get Down.
Oh yes.
Um, I think Okay Ladies, Let's Get in Reformation. The first time I heard that, I was like, that is the best thing I've ever heard. And I've heard it so many times now that I've become like desensitized, but I do remember my first reaction to that and being like, this
Yeah.
is amazing. So I
Well,
think that,
by the time you get back to work, who knows? In this point,
yeah, yeah.
you're back at it. The next question is from Brooke, and Brooke asked, "What was your favorite song to play in Rent?"
Now this is hard because Rent's like my baby and I love the whole thing.
Yep.
To play, see, oh, it has to be Another Day. I don't know why I'm hesitating. Another Day is my favorite.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
just, yeah, it's just I'm hesitating because the piano part specifically is extremely difficult. So I would always like be concentrating so much, but it's my favorite song in it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna say Another Day. I love playing Seasons of Love, obviously, because that's like the piano
that is the
lead
one.
one.
Yeah.
But Another Day, final answer.
To lock that in.
Yeah,
And the final fans question is from Evie, and Evie's asked, "How does it feel to be a part of the Queendom?"
it feels amazing. You know, it's weird because normally as a musical director or in the band, you don't get recognised,
No.
and no one knows who you are. So it was a really weird experience, like coming out the stage door and people being like, "Hi, Katy, can you sign my stuff?" Blah blah blah. So that was like a really big adjustment, and I've had to get. And I used to find it not intimidating, but I think I was a bit shy to it. I'm not a very shy person, but I think I was like so not used to it that I was like, oh
Yeah.
God, okay.
Used to not being
And
seen.
then and now I'm used to it. It's like it's really amazing feeling really supported.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's the best thing about it.
it is. And I mean, everyone just loves everyone, which is so nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone's really supportive. So now we're through with the fans' questions. We have made it to the quiz on how well you
Okay.
know six.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
yeah, I think so.
To be fair, it's not that bad.
I'm only worried because recently I've been teaching some six workshops and we literally get to a song and I'm like, oh my God, what are the words?
What song?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
anyway, here we
Right.
go.
The first question is quite easy. How many songs are in the original cast recording? Not necessarily the show, on the CD.
It must be 9.
Yes,
Okay.
straight in there. You didn't even have
Yeah.
to count them. I've
No.
had Queens sit and go, yeah. No, that was very straight up. The next one is a finish the lyric, so watch yourself.
Okay.
And all I'm giving you is I'd say Henry.
Oh, it's still I don't need your love.
Mm-hmm.
No holding back, I raise my voice. I say, Henry, yeah, it's true. Is true?
True, yeah.
I'll never belong to you.
Something like that. I only put yeah, it's
Very
true.
similar.
I was just like, yeah, it's true. This is the same quiz I've used on a majority of the Queens since I think episode 4.
And does
So
everyone do it wrong?
no.
Okay.
I think
I
most
thought that's
people
what
have
you were
got
going
it
to say.
right. You got it
Okay.
right, but most people have got it right, except from, of course, Maya, who almost got it right.
Yeah.
Clearly. The next one is a who speaks the line, which is
Okay.
a bit more difficult. And the line is, I can see it now, Henry VIII and his famous 4 wives.
I think it's Howard.
It is Howard. It is in Holbein, which is the best. I love Holbein. Question number 4 is, where was Six first performed?
Which version? Ever, ever?
I'll take either. I've got both written down. So
Well, Cambridge is technically correct,
it is correct. Yeah.
but Norwich
Yeah.
for our version.
Either or. Yeah. Your version or the first version. I've put both. So I'll take it anyway.
Okay.
You got both. Do I give you a bonus point? I mean, I may
Up
as
to you.
well. I may as well. I'll give you a bonus point. I gave Jen Caldwell a bonus point. It's not fair to her.
Thanks.
Question 5, and there's obviously 6 because, ha ha.
Obviously.
Which Queen has the shortest solo song in the cast recording? This is one you might get. It's shocking somehow.
Anne Boleyn, right?
No.
Oh, is it not?
It is by about 3 or 4 seconds. Aragon with No Way.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, what? I thought it was Get Down, but it apparently not.
Yeah.
And the last question, which cruise ships is Six performed on?
Bliss and Breakaway.
Yes. Straight in there.
Yeah, I cast him.
There you go, exactly. So you've made it through. So the last few things I'm going to do is first remind everyone to, I don't know why I'm so aggressive with that.
That was a lot.
First, go down in the description and there'll be links to my socials so you can follow me and find out who's going to be next because I've got some banging guests lined up. The next thing is to subscribe because that is important, and then you'll see the next video, which is also good. And the third thing is that I'm trying to raise a bit of money for acting for others. So if you go down to the description, there's going to be a link and you can click on that link and you can donate, which is also really nice because they're helping people in the industry, which is very important at a time like this, which is quite unusual. And finally, thank you so much for joining me, Katy. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
No problem.
Yes,
Thanks
it's
for having
been
me.
great. No, thank you so much. And thanks for watching, everyone. And I'll see you in the next one.